Hello, everyone. Welcome to MarshStream. I'm Stephanie Weisman, Artistic Director and founder of The Marsh, and this is my Stephanie's MarshStream show interviewing and celebrating 5 months since we started this MarshStream program, this platform. Can you imagine 5 months? And we are going strong every night a week, 6 nights a week with shows, 7 nights sometimes in all our archive shows. And I was wondering and thinking, what was the best way to celebrate 5 months? And I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great to interview some of our hosts of our other shows? And we'll get more to that in a second. But first, let me tell you what's coming up this week on MarshStream. We have Friday, we have CJ's Fitness Singing. We're going to talk to Candace Johnson about that tonight. And then on Friday night, we have Bingo with Josh Kornbluth. And this week's theme, if you haven't heard it yet, is our Back to School Picture Day. Wear your best back to school or have a photo outfit. And then on Saturday, Jeff Hoyle, the magnificent performer, Jeff Hoyle will be performing What Will I Be When I Grow Up? And on Sunday, we have Brian Copeland's The Waiting Period. Then we have Monday night and Tuesday night with Joshua Brody doing Beatles songs accompaniment. And then on Wednesday night, we're back to Solo Arts Heal with Gail, Schickele, and Monday night with Almira. I forgot to say that. Meanwhile, don't forget that we are surviving on your tips and donations. We have no ticket sales, so consider supporting us tonight, and we are thrilled that we are matched tonight. Also want to say that I am in this little lovely space in the Trinity Alps, and we are sponsored with the help of the Trinity Lake Revitalization Alliance and Velocity Communication. So thank them for giving me a place with internet in this internet-free area and air conditioning. So I don't even have to open the windows to all this smoke. Okay, so then without further, and I forgot, anybody on YouTube, thank you for joining us, and please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Okay, now let's get down to the fun of it, and let's talk to our 3 hosts of MarshStream. And we're going to go in alphabetical order. Okay, we have Almira, who runs the Monday Night MarshStream. We have Candace Johnson, who runs CJ Fitness Sing. And we have Gail Schickele, who runs Solo Arts Heal. Okay, so first, I'm going to ask all of them to step forward, whatever that means on the internet. Anyway, let's talk to Alexa a little bit. Alexa, how are you?
So my name is Alexa, and I have the pleasure of running the Monday Night Marsh program, although I am not the woman who is behind its inception. That would be Stephanie. Stephanie started Monday Night Marsh back in 1989 at the Hotel Utah on Bryant Street in San Francisco. And some of you may have heard me say this many times, but Monday Night Marsh really is the seed that has sprouted into what is now the Marsh Theater, a breeding ground for new performance. So very excited to be on here and very excited to have been in that process. So just a little bit about Monday Night Marsh. Monday Night Marsh is known for featuring works in progress. And we feature works in progress by performers from pretty much all levels. I mean, we have folks perform who have never performed in their entire lives, don't know what a script is, and then we've also had folks who are veteran performers who have countless shows under their belt. So it's such a fun dynamic. It truly is. And so I'll just talk more about Monday Night MarshStream. We usually have about 3 to 4 performers every Monday, and they'll do a 15 to 20 minute piece of what is usually from a larger piece that they're working on. So they're excerpts essentially. And then we also, something really cool that we've been able to do on Monday Night MarshStream is put in elements of the Marsh Rising series. So we'll have some nights where we have a solo feature is what we call it, where we'll just have one performer do a full-length piece, which is usually, about an hour long. So that's been a really fun addition, and I'm really happy that we've been able to add that element in to support our performers at every stage of the creative process. So just kind of an overview.
Thank you, Alexa. And before we go on, let's hear a little bit about Alexa. Now, Alexa has been at the Marsh. How many years now, Alexa? I won't ask you how old you are because I probably don't want to ask everybody else here who old there is. But how many years have you been working at the Marsh?
Like about 5.5 years.
So that
already, wow.
And you were like, what? A day after your 18th birthday you started?
It's something like that, yeah.
Alexa has been the most amazing Marsh staff person. Tell us all the things you've done at the Marsh so far.
I started off helping in MYT, and then I did the website, like updated the website for a while. And then I kind of at around the same time, I all of a sudden became a house manager, a tech, and the Monday Night Marsh program director kind of all at once. So I'm happy that I've had all that kind of, it's all helped me, I feel like, in being the director or the program director.
She's amazing. And outside of that, do you play the drums, and what kind?
Yes. I haven't since last year because of the shutdown, but I've competed in Tahitian drum competitions for the past 12 years, and that is so much fun.
It's like hard to imagine the things I know already about Alexa, what I learn, and what I don't even know. Who knows? Well, let's move on. Thank you, Alexa. We'll come back and talk to you some more, but let's move on because the next person in our alphabet is Candace Johnson. Hello, Candace.
Hello, Stephanie and MarshStream audience. It's so great to be here.
You all look magnificent.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us, what do you do on MarshStream?
Well, I am the lead for CJ's Fitnessing. I am CJ. I created the program. Just a wonderful moment happened when I told Stephanie, I'm feeling really frustrated because I have all this stuff in my head and in my heart, and I don't really have a platform for it. And she said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, one of the things would be this fitnessing idea that I had. And something, I don't know if you remember this, Stephanie, but I started thinking about, talking tonight, and I remembered not only did you give me this opportunity to share it on the platform of the MarshStream, but when you had the Taking Stock workshop back in December of last year, you said, write down things that you would really like to do, like some lifetime goals. And fitnessing was one of the things that I put on that list. So you're helping some of my dreams come true.
Thank you, Candace. So tell us, for those who have not had the great opportunity to do fitnessing, tell us about it.
So fitnessing came out of a desire for, I wanted, as a voice teacher, I teach voice at UC Berkeley, and I am a professional singer. And I wanted to some kind of way bring an opportunity for people to think about vocal health as a part of their overall health. And I think of, how many people do I meet on the regular who want to have a voice lesson or think, I'd really like to sing, but I don't really know if I should be taking voice lessons. So this platform gives people an opportunity to get some vocal training, and we burn some calories. So we're thinking about overall fitness, but remembering that this larynx inside of our body, that this is a part of our overall health. We use our voice for everything, right? We're speaking all of the time. And I want us to start thinking about the voice as it's an instrument, but it is also something that must be cared for in the same way that we care for the rest of our body. And I want us to use our voices in a healthy way for the rest of our lives, so that we're not losing. We start out here and then we're down here, and then we kind of have like no voice left. It's all here, right? I want us to have our voice in full forever.
And how do you do this in this class? What does it feel? What do people do when they come to this class?
So you come into fitnessing, and we start doing a little bit of body work. We might just wake up the body, and then we start doing vocal work. So I try to pair the vocal work and the body work in a way where most of the time we have something that's parallel. So we'll do a vocalese, which is a vocal exercise. And if we're moving fast with our voice, then I'll say, let's do something fast with our bodies. So we just get that continuity and unity within our body and our voice. And we do that. We do, I guess, exercise both with the voice and the body for about 30 minutes. In the last 15 minutes, we learn a song. We all learn it by rote. I sing a line, they sing a line back to me until we've learned at least a verse and a chorus of something. And then we sing it. We have soloists. Sometimes we all unmute ourselves and we sing in unsynced time. And it's so much fun. We're building a wonderful community, and people are starting to pop in from not only all over the country, but we're starting to have people come in internationally too. So it's just really, really exciting to see what's happening.
Wow. I love taking it. I love taking that class when I do it. I sing a lot. Sometimes though, in the fitness part, I like do something else. But that's just lazy me. So Candace, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Who am I? I am Candace Johnson. Like I said, I'm a voice teacher at UC Berkeley. I've been singing since I was a toddler, almost really like 6-7 years old. Started singing back in Tennessee. I have some acting under my belt, and so that I do have a one-woman show called Vox in a Box, which is also been a part of the Marsh. And I'm really passionate about helping people connect with their instrument and their voice and their gift, and a voice having many layers. So not just the vocal sound that comes out, but the heart sound, the soul, what's in your soul that needs to be birthed. And maybe through studying voice, I can help that come out too. So that's my passion. And I love fitness. I love working out. I see my coach is online at Cat Fitness. Hello. So I work out with him and his team 4 times a week. So that's something I'm passionate about and want to continue to fuse those 2 passions together.
Well, thank you, Candace. Let's move on to Gail Schickele. Hello, Gail.
Hey, Stephanie.
Tell us about your program.
Solo Arts Heal. I'm so grateful to you for that we have this opportunity to do Solo Arts Heal. I founded this group, Solo Arts Heal. It wasn't even called that. We were kind of nascent and nameless, but when we were working together in New York for the Association of Performing Arts Professionals and the conference and showcasing, and I noticed that some of the artists that were kind of on a medical track, I call it, that had to do with healing and surviving mental and physical challenges, overcoming adversity, becoming their own health advocates, because in today's world, we all have to learn to be our own health advocates. But I thought, what is the audience for these people? And in fact, Stephanie, you were one of the people that inspired me, because I'm always wanting to help artists and help artists find their audience and expand their work so that they can understand kind of the work of an agent and manager and what it takes to do that. And I wanted to be able to help people not only perform, but take their work out into the community, because these specific shows are worthy of talkbacks and forums and workshops that a lot of these artists are already doing with communities around the country. And so we also, so a core group of us got together, and now there's about 10, and also several advisors that are fabulous that haven't been, Crandall Rogers For Mortals production has been very involved with this lately, but there are others too, other producers and presenters at different institutions. And Brian Joes with the University of Florida Performing Arts Center, and Milt Orkin with Producers Inc. Kevin Spencer, who is an amazing illusionist, and he completely changed his life to be an educator and using his magic to help heal people and bring communities together. Steve Ducrow with Elgin Community College, all these people that have kind of signed on to support us, and we're kind of ambling along. And when COVID hit, you invited us and created Solo Arts Heal for us to be able to have a platform to share these shows with the community and the world now. And it's been such an honor to be able to do that. I got to tell you, I'm wasn't a Marshian as much as the other two wonderful guests that I so admire tonight. I haven't been involved one-on-one so much with the Marsh Theater until this, but I don't know if I ever told you that the very first theater that I ever went to when I moved here in '93 was the Marsh Theater, because my friend Joshua Brody was performing, and I had produced him in Denver, where I moved from, and the Marsh kind of always became a favorite place for me, and my husband and I would go there all the time. So the Marsh has always been close to my heart, and it's really thrilling to be a part of the Marsh now and the MarshStream, and to be working with these artists, because the idea is we embrace the healing power of the arts, because, and I truly believe it's through the arts that we find the truth of our shared humanity. Artists are at the forefront of social change, and we have the power to build community, and we need it more than ever right now, especially with all that's going on with the pandemic. And I'm really happy to have this ongoing role and be able to help not only the artists but build community at this time.
Well, that's wonderful. So give us a sample of how your show goes. What's it like each week at Solo Arts Heal?
So you introduce me and I talk about Solo Arts Heal, and we each week feature a solo artist that has a show doing with these themes, and there might be cancer, caregiving, obsessive compulsive disorder, having to do with domestic violence, sexual violence, sensory processing disorders. We've had different abuse, had Tales from Hospice, and also we began doing once a month climate, Solo Arts Heal Climate, so that we can, that's a work that I've done for many years in my life as an environmental journalist and as an activist. So I work a lot in the environmental community, and I'm really happy that we can talk to the community about the health of our planet, because our personal health and the health of our planet is inexorably linked. So I introduce the artist. They do a 20-minute excerpt from their show, about 20 minutes. And then we do a talk back, usually with a guest expert. So, and we'll have a conversation with the artist and the guest expert, depending on what that subject is that week. And me, and sometimes you.
So last night, tell us about last night's show and what it was about.
So last night was a really different kind of show, because we had Ananda Bena Weber in Fancy Fool, And she is an interdisciplinary artist. She is a dancer and an actor and a clown. She has many different characters. And this is the first show that was actually written for us, for Solo Arts Heal, because I wanted very much to address bees and agriculture, because bees are the pollinators, give us about a third of our food, even more than 30 to 40% of our food probably. And the bee colony collapse is really of great concern because of how they're transported around the country. So Ananda did this amazing creative piece with 3 different characters. And she talks about how, you know, what's really important is how we are with each other, you know, the importance of the love that we have for each other and in our communities, that we have to learn to embrace that sort of thing before we can really heal. And then we had a talk back with Ronnie Braga from the Alameda County Beekeepers Association that gave us a lot of facts and figures too, to be able to directly speak to how audience members and we all can help with maintaining not becoming beekeepers, but maybe how to plant and the right foraging for bees, and how the different things that we can do. You can watch the episode because Ronnie gives a lot of great ideas that we can all do to be able to support bees and our pollinators, because they're so important to our agriculture. And monocultures have really devastated a lot of farmland in the country. And we want to be aware of that and do what we can as community to heal that and other parts of our earth.
Yes, yes, and even my sister's a beekeeper, believe it or not. How odd is that?
I know you told me that. That is, I didn't know that until after the show last night. That's great.
Beekeeper and philosophy professor. Who would have known? She started out as a acupuncturist. Anyway, let's get beyond my sister. And one more question, Gail, before we go back to Alexa. So I asked both Alexa and Candace, well, what other things in your life? What brought you to this moment? This cynical moment.
You did.
I'm kidding. What's your, you said you were a journalist, and tell us a little bit about that past life as a manager and all those things.
Well, I've worked in theater and in entertainment marketing for many years, in dinner theater and in comedy. And I had a comedy talent agency in Denver and booked comics around the country, and also worked doing concerts with some great. I had the opportunity to work with some really great comedians, and some of the great ones aren't the most known ones either, but I've got to work with all kinds, and that was a really fun job. And then I also am trained as a journalist, and always felt, I guess it was from my family, thinking that, oh, well, I can't just be working in comedy and theater, you know, I need to do something serious like become a journalist. But I realized that after years of working as a journalist, I really needed to be back in the theater. And I have always kept up working in journalism and working with the League of Women Voters. I work with the Climate Reality Project as a speaker, and I've hosted an environmental speaker series in Berkeley for 25 years, co-hosted with another league, a couple of league people, Carol Stone for many years, and Jeanette Zernicke now run the meetings, but everything has been a bit on hold since the pandemic. And I've had the opportunity to meet so many illustrious and wonderful environmental people over the years, and I write about them. And for these publications, I've also been an editor for the Sierra Club, and have worked for years. I started in recycling, and had a recycling program in Denver Public Schools, and I I wrote a play that was produced as a college musical on nuclear energy called Energy in Arms, but I call it my nuclear bomb. And that was many years ago. But I moved to I moved here because I had a job at a newspaper out in Livermore, which was wonderful. And I met my husband and the love of my life. And we had a son who is fabulous. He's 25 now and a filmmaker and an artist himself, a musician and a writer. And my husband died when Train was 5. So that changed life incredibly for me. But he was an amazing filmmaker and violist, and he still lives on in all our hearts. And in fact, I still work showing his films. We're involved, in fact, showing his films at the in a Nigerian film festival. He was in the Peace Corps and filmed the first, or I should say, created the first film ever made for the Peace Corps, Give Me a Riddle, and another film, Bushman, and we're honoring David Schickele and Paula Pokum in Nigeria with these films for the film festival coming up in just a month from now. So I kind of have my fingers in a lot of pies. And also my son and his friends from college formed a film and arts collective. And so my house is a film and arts collective. And that it's wonderful to have all the great energy around. And I really admire all of their good work. Some are painters, some are musicians, but they're all filmmakers. So it's exciting to be around. And that was very much a part of my history growing up as well, because you were in Buffalo. So I think you went to my uncle's foreign film theater, the Circle Art, or across from the university where you went to school. That's my hometown. So that was a big influence.
Buffalo connection.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Yeah. Well, we'll get back to you. Now let's talk to Alexa. Alexa. Where are you, Alexa? She's gone.
I'm here. Sorry if my screen's glitching a little bit.
Will we be able to see you?
Can you see me now?
No, we cannot see you, Alexa.
There we go.
There's the Alexa. There she is. So tell us a little bit about the types of shows that you've had since the MarshStream started and some of the performances. Tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah. Do you want me to just talk about Monday Night MarshStream performances?
Versus? Is there something I'm...
Oh, versus like the Monday Night Marsh in person?
Yeah, let's talk about MarshStream. If you want, if something's important to you about the in-person one, you just go ahead and chat.
Yeah, so I think that we've seen some really cool, I want to talk about the solo features because since that's the newest sort of element that we've added to Monday Night Marsh as a whole, the solo features have been really amazing, especially because many of those solo features and many of those performers started off as 10-minute excerpts even, so I've had a lot of the solo features on Monday Night Marsh in person, so that's how I got a lot of the solo features, is because I already knew who had been kind of working on some things, throughout the past couple of years. So I think it's been really amazing to see how far they've come along in the development, in their, developmental process. One I want to talk about is Betsy Murphy's piece that we had on, I think, a couple of times. She's written 2 different books that's related to the O diary, or like the orgasm diary. And I think that she's had such powerful pieces, and I'm so happy that we not only had her on for, you know, the first part of her book, but, you know, she also got a chance to feature a second book that she had written as well, about sort of the female orgasm and how it's a complicated thing when it really shouldn't be. So that's one topic. You know, we've also had I'll bring up David Kleinberg's was one of the first solo features that we had on, and it was his piece He Wants to Run. And I had seen that. I'd seen the very first time that he performed it, you know, it was like a 15-minute piece. He just comes up and he's like, hey, I have this piece I'm working on about me and a dog. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then, you know, we have him on there, and I really liked it from the start. So I think the connection between him and his initial hatred for dogs and then all of a sudden his love for dogs, you know, I think that was such a special thing to watch. And it's also amazing to watch it be a 10-minute piece and then later on watch it be, you know, an almost hour-long show. So we've had just a bunch of different performances. I'm not sure if that answered the question. There's just so many to talk about.
Well, just tell us about two more. I know the one with Betsy. Talk about her development as a performer. How about that? From her first outing to full-length features now.
Yeah, when she first performed, it was a 20-minute excerpt of the book that she had already written, but she hadn't really performed it ever in front of anybody. So the very first time she did it with her eyes closed the entire time. And you know, when we asked her, like, how come you kept your eyes, you know, closed the whole time? Were the lights too bright? She was like, oh no, I've never really talked about this piece like that in front of so many different people. She's like, I can't do it unless I close my eyes. And I respected that a lot. And I thought it was even more amazing when the next time she came on, which was, you know, just a few months later, and she came back to perform, she did it with her eyes open. She had more movement in there. I just thought that was such a special thing to have, you know, sort of gone with her on this journey as she gets comfortable, you know, not just performing on stage, but just being able to share that kind of a very personal story with everyone. So I thought that was amazing.
So do you have another one or two that you want to point out?
Another one, for Monday Night MarshStream, yes, there's been so many. Let me think of one that I could talk about.
How about our Scottish guy, Colin?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? It's just kind of crackling.
How about Colin? Mcleod.
Oh yes, Colin Mcleod. I've had him on Monday Night Marsh in person and Monday Night MarshStream, and he's from Ireland, I believe, and he does
Scotland.
He's from where?
Scotland.
Sorry about that. Yes, and he plays Celtic. He plays the Celtic the fiddle, and I had him perform it live, and then in person at Monday Night Marsh when it was in person, and then we had him on again not too long ago, and it was insane because, you know, in person we had him there in front of us, and, you know, he was there, and then on Monday Night MarshStream he's like, oh, I'm in Scotland right now, you know, and it's like, I don't even know, like, it was like 9 hours ahead, 10 hours ahead, and he's like, it's like 3 a.m. right now, but I'm going to be fiddling for everyone, and he's just such a ball of energy. But like, I just loved the way he intertwined those songs with, you know, like a story. He's like, because I think he performed fiddling on an airplane over Mount Everest, was it? I think something like that, and I'm just like, and I just love that Monday Night MarshStream is allowing us to connect with performers we maybe couldn't have, you know, connected with had it just been an in-person show. So I thought that was awesome, how we're able to connect with people even internationally as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Alexa. Thank you. Candace, let's get to you. You have some moments in your fitnessing you'd like to talk about?
Sure. I think one of the things that's always so wonderful is to see the moment when somebody makes a connection with their voice. There's one particular lady who said she never wanted to really sing or let her voice be heard much because she was told that her voice was too low for a woman. And just there's so much in that, right? What is a woman's voice supposed to sound like? And she took a chance and started making some sound, and she started connecting with her voice, like really accepting her own voice. And she said, oh, where has this been all my life, you know? That's what I want to see so many people make that connection. We've had moments where we at the end we're singing, and then even though it's out of sync, there's this weaving of sound that starts to happen, and you can feel each other's hearts in the voices. And it's just that, like, being able to be close to each other, even though we're, you know, miles, sometimes hundreds of miles apart, but being able to be close by sound, just the vibrations and the passion that you hear, the experience, like each person's embodied experiences comes forth in their voices. And so just to be able to hear the sound of the soul happening simultaneously, out of sync, you know, out of time, yet in tune, in harmony, almost out of harmony, just all of it, but still being like this unified moment where we're all taking risks. So that's, yeah, that's super exciting when people start to take a risk. I have a friend who lives in Michigan, very decorated. She is a neuropsychologist, and, you know, thinks, oh, I don't really sing, but she comes to fitnessing pretty regularly, and she thinks she has a rather low voice, and she does. She has a lower range. But just, I think it was last week, we were singing a song that goes really, really high. And she said, well, I think I just have to do this because I think I'm all over the place, but I just need to try. And she stood up, and it was like, if anyone knows the voice of Marion Anderson, so Marion Anderson had this kind of, oh, like there was a hauntingness to her voice, contralto. And then there's this other part, this high part, the high register. And so my friend Sharina Owens was singing in this beautiful place in her voice, totally unexpected to me. It seemed like it was totally unexpected to her. And we were all just like this. Wow. And she shared that, you know, she shared it with the world. And so my hope is that not only did we hear her, but she heard her. She heard herself. And she realized, there's something here that I should continue to hone and invest in. Yeah, it's so beautiful.
You teach at Cal, and you teach, I guess, mostly undergraduates, is that correct?
Mostly undergraduates, yes.
And are these people that are voice majors, or are they just general majors taking voice classes?
Mostly general majors from all over campus. It's interesting. I rarely get a music major. So these are some students. I have two different types of classes. So I have the beginners level, and then I have this intermediate advanced level. And over the many years that I've been teaching the course, my advanced section is becoming this just wellspring of voices that have been trained, but also voices that have just naturally developed. You know, and sometimes they weren't developed through practice. They were just developed like just while the person was playing some other instrument. They have this voice that's just been sitting dormant, and then they are like, I think I want to try to sing, and they audition for, say, the beginners class, and I'm like, you should be in the advanced voice class, even though you have no experience. So I love working with both sides, like the singers who've had experience, who've had the training, and the singers who haven't. And then, in the beginners section, the only requirement is that they can match pitch 100% of the time, right? So I get every walk of life coming in, just really open, like really ready to learn the fundamentals of healthy singing. And I'm just really passionate about singing in a healthy way, no matter what style you want to do. I'm trained, classically as an opera singer, but I don't only sing opera. I believe that there is no invalid, style of music, but there are some unhealthy ways of using our voice. So I just want to help my students, the world. I want to help us use our voice in a healthy way, like I said, so that we can do it for the rest of our lives.
Well, speaking of that, there's this thing that, is it millennials have, and it's called, what is this called? What is that?
You mean that when they do the vocal fry and everything's like, oh my gosh, it's like this.
Yeah, vocal fry. Is it the millennials that vocal fry themselves?
It's funny. I think it started probably in the 80s, because I remember the Valley Girl. It was like everything was like this and it's still they pass it on to their children. And because we speak the way that we hear others speaking. So when I think about my voice, I know that my speaking voice is so much like my mother's speaking voice, and my mother's speaking voice is so much like her mother's and her sisters. Whether that's brogue or even the tone of voice or the way we either compress or not the voice, just all of the vocal habits that we have come from what we've been hearing. And so, yeah, I hear many things coming into class. Sometimes it's like, it's like this. And then there are some cultures where speaking out loud, using your voice and really projecting your voice is frowned upon. And so I have to work with those students to help them just, first of all, know it's okay to let your voice be heard. It's okay to let it come outside of yourself. And then we have to begin to say, not only is it okay for the sound of your voice to come out, but it's okay for the emotions, the feelings to come out. And so we have some really cathartic moments, these moments that are sometimes scary for the singer, because they start to allow the voice to come forth, and they look around like, was that me? And I can remember being in that same place, when I first started to hear my voice evolve and start to reverberate outside of myself. And it's like, that was me. Oh, I love this stuff.
So do you think doing fitness, how does fitness, so say, I heard, is it potentially that if you have vocal fry, you are actually you could damage your vocal cords. Is this correct?
That's correct. So the larynx the vocal cords themselves are not made to be, to have compression, like breath compression constantly. And even when I do this, I'm taking the back of my tongue a little bit and pressing down, and I'm constricting the breath flow. And the vocal cords don't like that. It's kind of like taking your car and driving it around with no oil. So we need to, for a healthy voice, we need to be speaking in a melodious kind of way where we have some highs and we have some lows. And I remember, so the lows are important. So I'm a soprano. My natural voice is just naturally, I'm high, right? But my voice teacher back in Michigan said, Candace, I need you to use your woman's voice. You are always speaking with your little girl's voice. Yes, Professor Perrette. And she said, you need to find your chest voice. And so I said, okay. And she said, I need you to start talking like this. Okay. And it took me a while to figure out what is my natural lower range in speaking, because I did talk like this. It was I think it was part of my Southern culture, everything's real nice and everybody smiles and everything. But that's not all there is. And so I'm just really thankful to be able to express, even just in speaking, to be able to speak and know that it's okay if I have a deeper tone sometimes, it's necessary.
So how do you, and you may have said this already, and I apologize, but just right now with what you're talking about right now, how do you interrelate? What's the role perhaps of fitness in a healthy voice?
Ah, so, of course, anytime you're engaging the body to raise your heart rate, you're being healthy, you're working on so much. But for the voice itself, that blood flow, that oxygen flow, I can be in a state where my voice feels pretty bleh, like a little lethargic, maybe a little dry, heavy. And if I spend 10 minutes just maybe jumping rope, doing something aerobic, already I begin, without even doing one vocalese, I begin to feel a difference. Like there's this energy that starts to come to my voice. And even to speak, my speaking voice would have more melodious sound to it. So being able to have clarity of tone, I believe that fitness impacts the clarity of the tone, the breath flow. When we are doing fitnessing, I'm not asking the singers to do the fitness while singing, right? I really want to work on one and the other, because what we do with our, say, abdominal muscles for working out is different than what we would do for singing. But we need to be activating those muscles, getting that blood flowing, getting that breath moving throughout the body. And so when that's happening, you are going to be able to sing longer phrases. You can manage your breath better. You will hopefully be able to access higher notes, lower notes. And like, it's just all, it's all connected, right? It's this voice, this instrument, the vocal instrument is housed inside of this body. And it's not like a violin that you can say, I practiced for my 6 hours and I'm putting it away and now I'll go do what I'm going to do. Whatever we do with this body, we are doing with our instrument. So, the ash that's falling now for us singers, it can be a little bit challenging because it's, these particles are getting into our lungs, they're getting into our sinuses, into our throats, and it's causing dry, scratchy, coughy kind of stuff happening, right? So, I didn't get enough sleep, or I'm feeling really angry. Right here, it shows up in the voice. And so, I tell my students, when we get ready to study the voice, just know you're going to find things out about yourself. Things are going to start to come to the surface, and we need to create a safe space so that everybody has an opportunity to allow that process to happen. And it's like really, studying the voice is a type of therapy, really.
Well, thank you, Candace. Candace helps me sing too, so I've been very lucky with that.
And sing so well you do.
Thank you. So now we'll go on to let's talk to Gail and everybody, and I want to hear some funny or surprising things that happened during your shows. Gail, has anything like that happened to you?
Yes, definitely. I think I just want to say that every show surprises me in some way. From the beginning with Joanna Rush and doing a show about sexual violence, I never I was worried about it, not knowing how this is going to come out and it was so vital and so important and so great, and just all these artists, and like Sam Simon and Rhonda Muzak and Valerie David just opening their hearts and their lives, you yourself, and talking about your shows and what you've gone through. It's very moving, and I really am surprised every week at the beauty of humanity in all of these artists, and I really mean it. It's very moving. Fred Johnson, and Bob Brader, and there's just so many great people that have have worked here at Gloria Rosen and Judas C. and working with some of the Marshians that you already, Diane Barnes. These shows are really beautiful. And when Chuck Obasi was doing Sam Simon's show, The Actual Dance, and so he hears two completely different men doing the same show about their wife being sick and as caregivers, and but by mistake the plug got pulled from my internet during the show, and our whole house went out of internet. Well, that was a panic moment, because I'm running around the house like, help, where's, what's going on, and very calmly someone said, oops, I pulled the plug by mistake. Put it back in. I get to the seat, I get on, and I don't know where I am in the show and what questions have been asked, what has been going on, but we just kind of slid right back into it. And I don't think anyone missed me, to tell you the truth. He was toward the end of his show, and I think our amazing producer Brian noticed where's Gail at some point, but that was a moment of panic. But most of the time,
Yeah,
you remember that?
I remember that. All of a sudden, I was looking. I'm like, why does Gail need to be admitted? Why does she need to be admitted? And I was like, I let you back in because that's what you do. And I was like, and then all of a sudden you find out that, someone pulled the plug, and she was gone for all this time. But, luckily she was back in. Before we leave this with just this, weird, things that happened that surprised you. I think, it's like when you do your show, it's like cancer, OCD. I mean, we met because you wrote me a letter introducing Adam Strauss to us in the mushroom cure and encouraging me to do his show. And you wrote me this lovely letter about Adam, and he's come and done our show, and he's done incredibly well with his psychedelic show about mushrooms and OCD, which is funny and poignant, and you learn a lot, and for me, I came up with this idea that OCD, it made me realize how we're all on the spectrum. I'm somewhat OCD, but I can get out of the house. I don't spend days trying to figure out what shirt I should wear, but I'm somewhere along the line of OCD or autism or any of these things that most of us have something in, or somebody knows us, or we know somebody, say, that's had a stroke, like Diane Barnes, My Stroke of Luck. And you think about these pieces like they're niche pieces, but then you understand they're not niche pieces. Everyone has come into contact with all these things. And it's such a relief to see that wide spectrum of life on these shows. So when you kind of say, well, this show's about cancer and this show's about dying or hospice or whatever, but these shows are filled with humor and humanity and life. And so the subject matter may feel less than the most positive thing in the world or the last thing you want to have, say cancer, but the shows are filled with humor. You want to talk a little bit to that?
Oh, sure. I mean, that is so true. One thing that I realized early on when we started meeting as a group was, I'm thinking, well, the audience, this isn't your audience. Like when we were at APAP, this isn't your audience sitting here in the room. Let's find your audience. I'm going to help you find your audience. And I realized really through you and the group that everyone is our audience, because everyone is a caregiver or at some point has some kind of illness. And in fact, every show, I swear I have whatever it is that people have. Oh my God, I got my neck, it's hurting, whatever it is. I'm always thinking, I think I have that too, ADHD or OCD or sensory processing disorder. And all these great talkbacks give me resources for, I think I'm going to check that out. I think maybe I need some of that. So and also fears that we have from, abuses that we've suffered or different things that have gone on in our lives. we can look at those without shame and actually not only have the resources to be able to help heal, but we able to look at that with humor. And I always try to say that in my opening, you know, it's with humor, because laughter is the best medicine. And all the shows have an element of humor, no matter how serious it may be. I used to think if there was a show about cancer, oh my God, who's going to come to a show about cancer? I don't want to go to a show about cancer. But yes, you do. because you're not only going to learn so much, you're just going to, you know, learn more about your own humanity and that we're all connected. And so it's really great that we're able to reach out to communities. And oddly enough, because of COVID, we're able to reach worldwide. So we have some, I know there's some regular viewers from Australia on Solo Arts Heal. Go figure. I mean, live, they're watching the show. So, you know, we have people that can watch from all over. And in fact, we're going to be having an artist on from the UK. And that's 8 hours difference. And several of our artists and even talkback guests are from the East Coast. So when we're here live at 7:30, it's 10:30 for them. And one coming up, Velvet Determination, she plays piano and had to work it out with, you know, the neighbors next door at 10:30 at night because the baby room is right there, you know, and can we put the baby in the other room so that we can, you know, work it out so that we don't wake people up. People have been very loving and giving, and it's been a wonderful experience. Continue.
Yes, it has. It's been such a wonderful experience with all of you. And I know that I was supposed to also be part of this since I am a host and we have like 3 minutes left. So I thought I would just like to say that I have had the most fun being the host of the MarshStream and Stephanie's MarshStream. It's like a dream come true. I always wanted to interview people, but I never really got the chance. And now I get to interview people and I get to host all these things and I don't have to even go anywhere, which makes me think, Gail, we have to find someone to do a show about hypochondria. Anyway, so for these last
your shows are wonderful. I really enjoy the Stephanie's MarshStream. So congratulations on this whole platform. You know, CJ and Alexa and you know, all the shows, Bingo Night, and it's such a diverse platform with the healing sounds and you know, the Beatles sing along, and it's been the documentary that you premiered. It's really wonderful. It's such a community service that is so diverse. It's more than just solo artists. It's real community service. Thank you for doing it.
It has felt that way. Thank you, Gail. So in these last couple of minutes, you know, and so we are celebrating our 5th anniversary, and I don't know if Alexa has her drums nearby. I hadn't thought of that. And Candace could sing, and Gail and I could, you know, talk about something else, but maybe we can have a little bit of that. But let's, you know, it's wonderful celebrating these 5 months. It's you know, it's been a wonderful time doing these 5 months.
Summertime and living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, oh, your daddy's rich and your mom's good looking. Yeah, yeah. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Oh, it's summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Daddy's rich, mama is good looking, yeah. So hush, little baby, don't try to cry. Ooh, summertime.
Is that beautiful? Don't you all want to come take her singing class and sing with her? Join us at all our shows, Solo Arts Heal, Monday Night MarshStream, Fitness Sing, Bingo, Solo Performer Spotlight, Jeff Hoyle. So thank you all and see you tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and next week. Thank you. Stay out of the smoke. Stay away from the virus. Love you all. Be safe and in good spirits.